Hello, this is AstrologyNewsReport.com with your hosts, David Anton Savage and Ron Berger.
Now we go to our third segment of this week's report, People in the News, where we will analyze the Vedic astrology birth chart of a newsworthy person, place, or event.
This week we've decided to check into what's going on with the astrology chart of Israel. We analyzed this chart back in December. Now events compel us to take another look to see what the hell is going on and when the current horror show will be ending.
A cursory look at the current period, subperiod, and transits shows an obvious straight-line connection from the astrological analysis to the conflict now underway.
Israel is in a Mars major period. Mars is the ruler of the fourth house of the country's lands. The Mars period activates natal Rahu in the fourth house. Rahu is the significator of obsession. Mars is placed in the eighth house of chronic difficulties and problems. And, of course, Mars is the planet of war.
Starting in April of this year, Israel began a Venus subperiod. Venus is the ruler of the 10th house of the leader and actions in the world. Israel's natal Venus is placed in the 6th house of conflict and enemies.
So right away, from the placement of both the major period and the subperiod rulers, we see that two of the most problematic parts of the chart are activated, setting the stage for a difficult interval in the country's history.
And now, turning to the transiting planets, the details emerge, confirming the current course of events.
First off, the Mars-Saturn combination, which we have been reporting on for weeks now, is running roughshod through the chart's 10th house, manifesting its pressurizing, uncompromising, cruel energy through the actions of the country and its leader.
Yes, this is a rather deadly energy package, putting two major malefic planets in a part of the chart that is already activated by the subperiod ruler. Malefic planets in the 10th house indicate bad conduct in society. The harshness of Israel's actions against Gaza has the whole world horrified.
And this energy transfers to Venus, the dispositor of Mars and Saturn, stopping the planet of compromise, harmony, and agreement from performing its usual functions.
The 3rd house of a country's chart, like in a person's chart, is the house of neighbors. Here we find another planetary combination transiting, Uranus plus Ketu, the meaning of which aptly describes what is going on in this sector of the chart.
Uranus is the planet of freedom, rebellion, disruption, sudden events, and unusual acts. Ketu is the significator of the past and operates in a mysterious, irrational, chaotic, uncompromising manner. Together they form a deadly duo, manifesting as out-of-control self-sacrifice and apparent insanity.
Which indeed is what Hamas's actions in Gaza appear to be, frankly suicidal.
So the question on everyone's mind is, when is it going to be over?
Well, the Mars-Saturn combo in the 10th house will break up when Mars leaves Libra on September 4th. The Uranus-Ketu combo in the 3rd house, unfortunately, continues for a year and a half.
So the soonest we can expect some good news is early September? What about Jupiter, the planet of wisdom, and Venus, the planet of compromise? Any aid from that quarter?
Venus will be with Jupiter for 3 weeks, starting August 7th, and transiting in Israel's 7th house of partner countries. On the face of it, this sounds hopeful for wise counsel, humane actions, loving kindness.
But, like we talked about, Venus is representing the energy of Mars and Saturn transiting in Venus's sign Libra, so Venus is not operating in its normal way. Its benefic energy is polluted by the very planets that are themselves responsible for both sides being uncompromising.
Exactly, David. The most important planet for coming to agreement is constrained by evil influence.
So we have to wait until September? Is that the prediction?
Well, the seventh house of the chart is important. After all, the natal moon of the chart is here, and Jupiter with Venus is a major influence. The big question is, will the Mars-Saturn energy, which is also a really big influence in the 10th house, prevail?
Or is it going to be Jupiter-Venus that wins the day?
Also, the 7th house represents the partner country, obviously the USA, and Jupiter with Venus is great for diplomacy.
But there's still Uranus and K2 in the 3rd house, indicating yet more sacrifice, including suicide, from the neighbor. What's that motto I recently heard attributed to Hamas? Love death more than the Israelis love life. Not good for the outcomes department, to say the least.
Well, personally, I am thinking that there will be a continuation of what we have been watching. The hope and promise of any truce and negotiation, followed by breaking the truce by one side or the other, followed by more diplomacy and hope.
In other words, both of the benefics being contaminated by major malefics in their respective signs are not going to come through for us on any substantive level.
Nope, not until Mars gets out of Libra in early September. That's what I'm waiting for.
That is it for this week. Be sure to click in with us next week.